Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Today is Monday. Um, Hoping everybody is had a blessed weekend. Hoping everybody is staying safe. And I know in various different cities across the country, they're starting to open things back up. And I just want to let you guys know, please be careful because just because they're opening things up doesn't mean that it's safe. The virus is still out there. So, I mean, I still don't feel comfortable with going to a restaurant and yeah, I'm not still not comfortable. So, um, I know they still got the gyms closed in my city, so everything is not open. But they did start to open the stores up and stuff. Some of the other stores and things like that. So, just because they're opening things up doesn't mean that the virus is gone. The virus is still out there. So, just everybody still keep wearing your mask, washing your hands for 20 seconds, keep wearing your mask. Just stay safe, everybody. Still stay safe. I know that they got to get things up and running again, and I get that, but people still got to be careful. Maintain the proper social distancing and keep wearing your mask. I want to talk about this young lady by the name of on YouTube. She's a YouTuber. Her name is by the name of Nat Queen. Um, I'm looking at her channel here, and says she only had 16 videos. I think she might be fairly new to YouTube, um, but she apparently, not going to say allegedly because it is true. Allegedly, she did a lot of hair tutorials. Very beautiful young lady, beautiful hair. Um, she did a lot. Looks like she did a lot of hair tutorials and stuff. She's been on YouTube since 2016. She's fairly new to YouTube. Says here she's only got 16 videos. So it'd be safe to say she's fairly new. That might have been when she joined Google, but she only got 16 videos. So she hasn't been on YouTube for very long, and she's only got 16 videos. So looks like she's got a lot of hair tutorials. She's done a lot of hair tutorials and things like that. I'm going to show you guys on my phone. You can see that. The Nap Queen. Her name is the Nat Queen, and she's done a lot of. It's her channel. If you can see that, the Nat Queen. She's done a lot of hair tutorials and stuff. Very beautiful young lady. Beautiful young lady. Beautiful head of hair. Um, well, um, news surface here lately says that she was murdered by her boyfriend. She was killed by her boyfriend. I don't know all the details verbatim. I know that they said something about she was trying to break in the process of trying to break up with him, and he came to her house and allegedly, I'm gonna say allegedly because I don't know for sure. He allegedly came to her house and she was trying to break up with him and trying to tell him that he needed to leave and he wouldn't leave and I don't know if he broke in or she let him in, was trying to talk to him, whatever, and they got into a heated argument and he winded up killing her. Because I don't know this young lady, I wasn't subscribed to her channel. I just subscribed to her channel because I'm gonna watch her videos. But because I don't really know this particular YouTuber, I wasn't subscribed to her channel. Um, it looks like she did a bunch of hair tutorials. It didn't look like she was really talking about what was going on in her personal life. So I'm not really familiar with her. But it sounds like it was a very toxic relationship, and it sounds like from what they were saying, it seems like she was trying to make some attempts to get out of the relationship. It sounds like it was a very toxic relationship. And I know on my last video I did, it's interesting because on my last video I did, and I was talking about how there's no outrage. If you haven't got a chance to check out that video, check out my last video I did. It took me almost days to upload the doggone thing because I recorded it on my video while I was out doing my walk. Um, I recorded it on my phone while I was out doing my walk, and I kept having some technical difficulties. It wasn't uploading properly. It kept uploading, and then would start all over again on this phone. It's a brand new phone. And so I winded up having to cancel the first upload because it was really, really shaky because I was walking. So I winded up canceling the first upload and then stabilizing it and then re-uploading it. So it took even longer. So it took almost 2 days for me to upload the doggone thing. But if you haven't got a chance, get over there and check that video out where I'm talking about um, there's no outrage for black women when black women get killed by the police. There is no outrage. That's what I'm talking about in that video. So get over there and check that one out. Was interesting because someone in my comments section came in my comment section and said that black women are being killed by black men, and that's an excellent point. Yes, I definitely want to address that. Black women are being killed by black men. Um, statistically, um, statistically, black women have the highest rates of abuse and death as a result of domestic abuse, domestic violence. That's what I want to talk about in this video. This young lady was very beautiful. She had a lot going for herself. I'm going to watch some of her videos to kind of find out, her personality, but she had a wonderful personality. She was very beautiful, had a lot of potential, very smart. And then it kind of makes you wonder how someone like that can wind up with such a toxic man. You know, someone that had everything going for herself and was very beautiful, very smart could wind up with. I know sometimes smart women can make bad choices in men. You know, women that seem to have it all going for themselves. They're smart and talented and beautiful, and they sometimes make the wrong decisions when it comes to relationships. I know that I was guilty of that at one time myself. You know, was had uh was good qualities in other areas, but when it came time to picking men, um, made bad choices. Thankfully for me, thank God I didn't get with someone that was physically abusive. I might have endured a little mental abuse, but as far as physical abuse, I'm very blessed to not dealt with somebody that was physically abusing me. So I can honestly say that I was blessed enough to not have to endure that. Um, I kind of got stalked by a guy that I don't even want to say I was dating him. Well, I'll tell that story another time. That's a long story. That's a whole nother video. I wouldn't say I was dating the guy. I mean, I don't know. That's a long story. I'll talk about that in another video. But as far as in my actual relationships, I didn't endure any type of physical abuse, so I consider myself blessed in that area. Um, but I'm the type of person, I'm a fighter. I fight back. So, but even if you fight back, you can still be killed. I mean, even if you are a fighter and you fight back, you can still be killed. That's the thing. Because 9 times out of 10, men are more stronger than women, you know. But I know a lot of times women can have a lot of things going for themselves and they wind up in these bad relationships with these toxic men. And they say black women statistically have the highest rates of death via domestic abuse. The best domestic abuse rates with black women statistically are very high. And the culprit is usually, I'm not bashing black men, but I'm just stating the facts. The culprit is usually a black man. But somebody put that comment in my the video I did when I said that nobody when the police kills a black woman, there's no outrage, and somebody put that in my comment section that black women is getting killed by black men. And so I said, yeah, that's a good point. And so it, you know, it's really sad. I hear about a lot of these cases. I hear a lot of these cases where young black women are getting murdered by black men. I mean, it's bad enough that we have to worry about getting murdered by the police. Then we have to worry about getting murdered by our own men. But either way, there's still no outrage. It's no outrage if we get murdered by the police. There's no outrage if we get murdered by our own men. There's still no outrage. Period. Either way you slice it. But it just kind of makes you wonder, um, how these women getting involved with these men, and it's really sad. This is really sad. I heard about it. There's other people that did some videos about it, and um, it's just really sad. It's just so sad that this young lady had to lose her life over somebody that um, was being, and I mean, usually the first thing that comes to mind when I hear about things like this, usually the first thing that comes to mind is, what were the signs in the beginning? When she first met the guy, what were the signs? Because typically there are signs in the beginning. In the beginning, when 9 times out of 10, when you first meet a man, um, if he has any type of toxic behavior, they, as much as they try to cover it up, there are signs. But 9 times out of 10, women have the tendency to overlook the signs. There are signs. There's always signs in the beginning. But women have the tendency to overlook the signs. I don't know if you guys remember when I did I did an online dating tips video, and then in some of my other videos I talked about I had some experience with online dating, and when some of the guys that I had met, I wound up talking to them on the phone. And then there was things that I could pick up in these guys' conversations. Some of these guys that I was talking on the phone, I didn't dare want to meet them face to face because I didn't like what I was hearing in their conversation on the phone. I can pick up, it was one particular guy that I was talking to, and he was just sounding kind of controlling on the phone. Like he literally, just by his conversation and the things that he was saying, I can tell. I said, this man seems like he kind of controlling. He don't even know me yet, and he's already trying to make demands. You know, literally, didn't even know me. I mean, this man don't even know me. He already trying to make demands on me and stuff. I said, this sounds like somebody that. I said, this is not somebody I want to. I'm not even interested in going to meet this guy. So that winded up being a no go because no. So I can tell by the conversation when I was talking to some of these guys, I can tell by their conversation that they weren't right. Just by their conversation and picking up on cues of some of the things that they were saying. I had 2 sons, so I wasn't about to. I was very careful to. I wasn't gonna. I was trying to be smart in the situation and not put myself in a precarious situation or a toxic situation with any man because I had 2 sons that was relying on me. They were both were young, and because this was shortly after my youngest son was born. I was on a quest to find him a father and me a husband, and that didn't work. But um, just by talking to some of these guys on the phone, I can tell that they wasn't right. And so when I hear about cases like these, I cannot help but to think, and not that I'm blaming the victim, because I don't want to dare do that. But I have to, the first thing that typically comes to mind is there are signs. There are always signs that these guys are toxic. First sign is that they're controlling. They try to control you. They're overly possessive of you. Insecurity can be one of the signs. If they're very insecure, that means they're very jealous. If you're dealing with a man that's very insecure, low self-esteem, and he's very insecure, they have the tendency to be really jealous. And if a man, in the beginning, when you first dating a man, and he exhibits any jealousy, and he starts acting like, some women pass it off and they blow it off and say, oh, ain't that cute? He jealous of me, and then, they think that's cute. No, that's not cute. That's not cute. If they're acting jealous and overly possessive of you, that is not cute. That's a sign. That is a sign right there. It's because usually when a man is overly possessive and jealous, that a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, those men wind up being abusive. And I wonder if he was showing some type of signs of where he was being controlling or overly possessive of her, and she just kind of overlooked it, or when she did wake up and realize that it was too late, you know? And so, but when you first meeting a guy, a lot of times, 9 times out of 10, like I said, when I was talking to some of these guys on the phone, when I was doing my online dating, I could pick up certain things in the conversation. And just based on that alone, I was like, no, I'm not about to go meet this man. This is the no go, you know. So, and when they're like that, when they're jealous or overly, they try to they be trying to run you or try to dictate to you what you should be doing, or they always want to be up under you all the time, and if they're not around you, you know, they want to know where you at. If they can't account for where you at, then um, they're accusing you of stuff, accusing you of cheating, or who is that other guy you seeing or whatever. And you say, I'm not seeing anybody, I'm just seeing you. That's a sign too. That's a sign too that they can wind up being abusive. You know. Um, so it's just signs to look for. It's things um, that women are not, they're signs to that men show that that it's a potential that they could wind up being toxic and abusive. But the problem is the women are not picking up. They're either overlooking it or they're not picking up on it. If a man is being overly controlling, if he's terribly insecure, if he's really insecure, if he's so insecure to the point to where, you know, he's questioning you all the time, usually that goes usually hand in hand, jealousy, controlling, insecurity, all of them kind of going and kind of sync up and go hand in hand together. And usually when a man is like that and he's exhibiting those qualities, that's a problem. That's a problem. Um, Usually, typically, when a man is controlling, um, he want to boss you around and want to dictate everything to you. He want to control everything in your life. He want to control. Some men even go as far as to try to alienate you from your family and friends. I've heard of cases where men try to alienate the woman from their family and friends, try to keep them away from their family and friends. They don't want them to spend time with their friends or their family. They have trust issues. You go to the store, they want to find out why you going to the store. Well, who was that you? Who's that ninja you met at the store? I'm gonna say ninja, and you be like, I didn't meet nobody at the store. What are you talking about? They just be, popping off things off the top of their head, just be making up stuff just to kind of feel you out and test you out, whatever, like that. Those type of guys that exhibit those qualities, that can potentially lead to abuse. Because first, that's emotional abuse. When they're taking you through all that stuff, that's emotional abuse. It starts off as emotional abuse, and then it goes into physical abuse, because then the guy starts getting angry, losing his temper. And there's things to look for. There's signs to look for. Is that if he's got a bad temper, you can pick up on that in the beginning. And sometimes these men start off being, typically what happened is these guys start off being real sweet, and maybe sometimes they're doing too much too soon, and they try to get your feelings and try to get you emotionally involved with them in an early stage of the relationship. So they try to get you really emotionally invested in the very beginning of the relationship. So once they get you emotionally invested in the beginning of the relationship, then they know that they can come in and start manipulating you and controlling you and even abusing you, and you'll stay, you know and that's what their goal is. And I know that in 9 times out of 10 in these relationships, there's always signs. There's always signs in the beginning, and women are overlooking them. They're overlooking him. And that's the sad part about it, that these women are overlooking these qualities, these things. And I know when I was doing my online dating, I was able to pick up on these things in a phone conversation. Because I couldn't just, it wasn't just me that I was worried about, it was my two sons. I didn't want to bring someone around my two sons that was toxic or abusive, or I didn't want somebody that was going to potentially take me away from my two sons. So I had to be careful. And particularly when you're doing online dating, you really got to be careful when you're doing online dating. And I just, it's really, really sad about this young lady. And that's the message that I want to give to these young ladies out here, is that keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open in the beginning of the relationship. Keep your ears open and keep your eyes open, and look for those signs. Look for signs of him being overly controlling, him being very insecure, and acting like he don't trust you, and want to question you all the time. You go across the street, he wondering why you going across the street. Why you going across the street? What do you mean why I went across the street? 'Cause I know, like I said, my ex was like that, and he was, um, I think he might have been kind of a narcissist, but but he has some qualities of controlling behavior. He had some of those qualities, and um, I answered the phone one time, and I talked about this in another video. I answered the phone one time. He's like, "Well, why you answer the phone like that?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Why I answer the phone like that?" You know? I'm like thinking to him, I don't know if I said it to him or I said it. What is wrong with you? I'm like, my thought was, what is wrong with you? Why are you asking me why I sound like this? So like, why did you answer the phone like this? Why are you sounding like that? So when men when they do things like that, and like when you answer the phone, all you doing is something as simple as answering the phone, and then, oh, why you sounding like that over the phone? Really? And so um, something like that, or if you go to the store, or they want to know why you take so long at the stove. Who was at the stove? They're asking you all these kind of questions like that. The, don't walk away from that man. Run away from him. He's got some issues. Because if you can't even go to a store without this man questioning you, you got a problem. You got a problem. And so there's always signs to look for, ladies. There's always signs to look for in the beginning, in the very beginning. Even if you talk to this man on the phone, you can tell by the conversation. You can pick up on certain things in the conversation. If he acts like he wants to dominate the conversation, he's saying certain things to you like he want to control you, run, run, run. That's not a good man to be with. Okay, it's just, there are always signs. There are always signs in the beginning. But what we have the tendency to do as women, and I think I was guilty of that in the past myself, um, is as I went through some emotional abuse, not necessarily like physical, but I went through a little bit of emotional abuse, and that's what they that's one of the signs. We have the tendency to overlook those things, and so it's just so sad that. And it's a lot of the abuse is happening. A lot of things are happening at the hands of our own men. And so it's important for mothers to talk to their daughters, to educate their daughters. It's important for the fathers to be in their daughters' lives. I know a lot of fathers are not. And to educate their daughters and to talk to their daughters about these kind of men. And this thing could be prevented. But women need to be educated. Young women need to be educated, and they need to be aware of the signs to look for, because 9 times out of 10 there's always signs to look for. It's really sad that this happened to this young lady. I really feel bad that this happened to this young lady. She was beautiful, had beautiful hair, and but ladies, if you see a man that's exhibiting any of those qualities when you first meet him, it's not going to get better. You got to run from this man. Don't walk away from him. Run. He's toxic. And a lot of times it starts out as mental, emotional abuse, and then it turns into physical. See, that's how it starts out. And then you talk to the man and you ask him about his background. Get as much information about his background as you can. Sometimes if they're talking about past relationships, sometimes when these guys are talking about past relationships, that gives you clues too, and you can pick up on that when they go to talking about their past relationships, why things didn't work out with Jane Doe. When I was dating Jane Doe, A, B, and C happened, and this is what happened, and they go to talking about their past relationships, and then you kind of wonder, you can pick up cues from that too as well, you know, just by their conversation and them talking about what happened in their past relationships. They think they're covering up some stuff, but they're actually revealing some stuff. You just got to have your ears open and you got to have your eyes open to see it. And definitely find out what his relationship is with his mother. Because if he's 9 times out of 10, if the mother is the first woman in a man's life, his mother is the first woman in his life. And so if he has a toxic relationship with his mom, or he doesn't love, or he has issues with his mother, he doesn't have any, he's exhibiting some qualities that he doesn't have any respect for his mom. He don't have nothing good to say about his mother, or he has a toxic relationship with his mother. That's some cues right there. Or he might have not have had a relationship with his mother, lack thereof. That might be some cues right there, that you could pick up on. If he had a toxic relationship with his mother, 9 times out of 10, he don't have no respect for women. If a man doesn't, if a man, a mother is the first woman in a man's life. Like my oldest son, he tells me, "Mom, I'm looking for a woman like you." Yeah, you know, I love it when he says that. But literally, he said, I'm looking for a woman like you. I'm looking for a woman that has qualities like you, because I have a lot of good qualities." And so uh, the the man, that his mother is the first woman in his relationship, in his life. So the relationship that he has with his mother, is going to determine how he feels about women, after that, or how he views women. And if he had a toxic relationship with his mom, and he didn't have a good relationship with his mother, or sometimes some of these mothers are toxic, and he seems to be very angry and resentful when he talks about his mother. Run. Don't walk away from him. Run, because 9 times out of 10, that means that if he ain't got no respect for his mama, 9 times out of 10, he ain't gonna have no respect for you. He probably don't have respect for any women. If he don't have no respect for the first woman in his life, the most important woman in his life is his mother. If that relationship is not good and toxic, then 9 times out of 10, he's not going to have no respect for any other woman. I mean, he probably 9 times out of 10 needs many, many, many years of therapy. You know, so you don't need to walk away from that type of man. You need to run. So when you first meeting a man, a lot of times these women jump into these relationships so fast that they don't really take the time to get to know a man. And I've said in many of my videos, I said you will learn everything you need to know know about a man, but you got to give it time. You have to take the time to get to know these men. That means not jumping into bed with them right away. Talking to them, talking to them on the phone for a few weeks. This guy I met online, he was a nice guy, but it just, he wasn't for me. We talked on the phone for like 6 months before we met face to face. So I was able to learn a lot of things about him. And I did pick up some things about him that I wasn't particularly fond of, even in the midst of the conversation. But he did have so many other good qualities. I, you know, I decided to go ahead and just meet him face to face to see, where we can go from there. And then when I met him face to face, I was like, yeah, this is not gonna. And it was sad because he was a nice guy, but he just wasn't the right one for me. And then he was exhibiting some qualities that I just didn't like. I didn't like, and it just didn't mesh well with me. And we really wasn't in sync. We wasn't really compatible, and sometimes that happens. So, um, but because I took that time to get to know him and to really get to know him and have lots of conversations with him and really get to know him over the phone and not really getting that emotional bond with him and just being able to look at things objectively because I didn't have that emotional connection with him. I was able to make, at a later date, I was able to make some wise decisions about this relationship with this particular guy, you know. And so that's what I'm saying. You got to give it time, ladies. When you're meeting these guys, you got to give it time. Even if it's not online, even if it's you meeting them at the store or at church, it doesn't matter where you meet them at. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where you meet them at because you still going to have to go through that same process. You're still going to have to go through the process of talking to them, having many, many conversations with this man, getting to know this man, before you know, get emotionally invested. And the best way to not get emotionally invested is to not sleep with them. I'm always going to be an advocate of abstaining until marriage. But the best thing you can do is abstain. If you're not going to abstain until marriage, at least abstain until you get to know the man. Because Um, sex is emotional. Let's face facts. Sex is emotional to women. It's an emotional act for a woman. For a man, it's more of a physical act. And so, particularly when a woman is looking for a relationship, she's looking for a long-term relationship, and she's looking for a marriage, a relationship that's going to lead to marriage. And that's what let's face facts. Most women are looking for that. And so, if you're looking for something like that, you gotta take the time to get to know who you're dealing with, and you will find out everything you need to know about a man. But you got to give it time. You have to take the time to talk to him and to feel his conversation out. Don't get emotionally invested until you know exactly who you're dealing with. Learn everything you need to learn about his past. And background checks, background checks, background checks. I can't express that more. Do a sexual predator, what they call that. There's a check you can do to find out there's any sex offenders in your neighborhood and stuff. Yes, do a sex offender check. See if he's on the sex offender list. Do a criminal check. I mean, sometimes you go through these sites and you gotta pay a little bit of money, but you can pull up somebody's criminal records and stuff. Yeah, you might have to pay a little bit of money, but hey, it's worth it, right? Do a criminal check. Do a sexual offender check on him, a criminal check. In every state, I know in Michigan, but I think the other states have it too. They have a site you can go on a state's website and check the prison website. Go to every state. I know the state of Michigan has it. It's you can go in and on the state website and it'll tell you all you got to do and it'll tell you who if he's been in prison. All you got to do is type the man's name in, and if he's been in prison, it's gonna pop up. And if he's been in prison, it's gonna tell you whether he was released. It doesn't matter if they was released or they're still there, whatever. If the person was released, the information is still gonna be there, and it'll tell you why he was in prison. And yes, and I know Michigan has that, but I know other states have it as well. So you can check the prison website and in your state and find out if he's been in prison. And if he's been in prison, it'll tell you why he was in prison. If he was in prison for rape or whatever, sexual misconduct or whatever, you better run from that man. Check the sexual offender list. Check. You can pull his criminal records. If you're living in a smaller city, maybe you can ask around if the man has lived in that city for a while or all his life or whatever. You can ask around. Sometimes word of mouth, that's helpful too. If other people know him. Yes, ladies, background checks. background checks. Find out everything you need to know about this man before you get emotionally invested. Because once you get emotionally invested, they say love is blind. It's an old saying. They say love is blind. It is. I fell in head over heels in love with a guy one time, and he was a player. He had. I don't want to say that. That song "Holes in Different Area Codes." I'm not calling myself a hole, but he had women in 3 different cities. He had one me over here, and he could have had, I don't know, could have had somebody else over here for all I know. And he was from a little bitty small town. I wouldn't even call it a city. It was a town. And he had women in that town, and then he had some other women in another city next to that. Yes, he had women in 3 cities. and and I fell for this guy so fast that I didn't even take the time to find all that out until, and by the time I found it out, I was already emotionally invested in this guy. And so once you get emotionally invested, it's going to be hard for you to pull away. Even after you find these things out, it's hard for you to pull away. And so you got to, and I'm guilty, my younger son's dad. I didn't really know everything that I needed to know about him before I got pregnant by him. God forbid. And I didn't find out a lot of things about him until, unfortunately, I was already with child, you know? And so I can't express that more. I'm telling you, ladies, I'm speaking from experience. Find out everything there is to know about a man before you make that emotional investment, before you start dating him, and especially if you're talking about marrying him. Find out everything there is to know. Feel his conversation out. Find out what type of relationship he's having with his mom. Do all these background checks. Because if he's abusive and toxic, it's somebody knows something about it. Ex-girlfriend, there's an ex-girlfriend or somebody, he got some kind of a record or something. There's some way you're gonna be able to find that out if he's toxic. And so I can't express that more, ladies. These situations can be prevented, but women just gotta be educated. Women just gotta know and be more careful. Because sometimes a woman, if you're lonely and you looking for love, and you want somebody you want somebody to love you. You want a loving husband. 9 times out of 10, most women are looking for a husband. 9 times out of 10. You want a loving husband. You want somebody there that's going to love you and take care of you and cherish you. And that's wonderful, and that's all well and good. That's a natural instinct for us to want that. But you got to be careful. And sometimes women want these things so bad that they wind up making the wrong choices, make bad choices. And then they jump into these situations and they jump into these relationships. And by the time they find out the guy is crazy or toxic, it's too late. And they're already emotionally invested, or it's either that or they can't get away from the guy. They didn't found out the guy is crazy on 6 months to a year on down the road, and then they can't get away. They can't get him out. They can't get. He don't know how to break up, because some men don't know how to break up with you. They don't know how to break up with you, and so I told this lady at work, this lady I was working with. She said that her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend. She said my ex-boyfriend keeps following me. Like when I move, he want to try to find out my new address and all that. I said, oh, so he don't know how to break up with nobody. So I told her, I said, oh, so he don't know how to break up with you. So there's some of these men don't know how to break up with a woman, and so it's oh my God. And so if he has hit you, if he has attacked you and left marks on you, go straight to the police department and get his abuse on record. If he gave you a black eye, or he hit you in the mouth and he left a mark, he's left bruises on your body, don't walk to the police station. Run to the police station. Um, File a police report, Have them take pictures of the bruises and everything that he put on you to get his abuse on record. So that way, if something happens and you gotta take him out or whatever, I hate to say that, but then they can say, okay, yeah, she was down here on this specific date, because he had hit her in the mouth or hit her in the eye, and then she came down here again. See, get his abuse. Always get the man's abuse on record, and that's one of the mistakes that women make. That when the man hit them and he leave mark, they don't report it. They don't initially report it. Sometimes they wait until it gets a little worse or it escalates a little bit worse until they report it, or it's too late. The man already done killed them. So you got to get that abuse on record immediately. If he hit you and he give you a black eye, you better go down there and make a police report. That's assault. He assaulted you. So you got to go down there and file a police report, have him take pictures of you, get it on record. That way, if something happens and you kill him in the process of you trying to defend yourself, then you don't go to prison because they can't prove that he was abusing you. You feel me? So that's just things that women have to keep in mind. And it's just so sad about this young lady. It's so unfortunate. Black women, and it's sad that we have our black women have the highest rates of domestic abuse. Black women are the most disrespected and unprotected women in the world, or at least in this country. And it's really sad. And so we just got to educate ourselves. We got to be smarter. We got to make better decisions. You know, that's all I can say about it. It's really sad about this young lady. It's really sad. So you get a chance to get over to her channel. Um, uh, her name is Nat Queen. I subscribe to her channel because I'm gonna go ahead and watch some of her videos. Uh, her name is Nat Queen, and um, yeah, she was unfortunately murdered by her boyfriend. May she rest in peace. And I give all my prayers and condolences to her family. It's just really sad. But ladies, just please be careful. Just please be careful and look for the signs. There's always signs when a man is toxic. There's always signs. But women have a tendency to ignore it. Don't ignore it. If you see the signs, please don't ignore it. Don't walk away from the man. Run. Okay? Um, Stay tuned. I got another video. I'm going to do another video after this. Stay tuned. Um, Make sure if you're new to my channel, you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. Not necessarily in that order, but hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so every time I do a video, you will be notified. Stay tuned. I got another video coming up. Stay tuned. Peace and love. This is Sweet Jen.